Unlike most people, Rick Harrison of History Channel's Pawn Stars has captured the hearts of viewers everywhere. The rumors that Rick was going to get a life sentence in prison were shocking, as you can imagine. More and more people are paying attention to this rumor because Rick has had some serious issues in court and with his personal life. Find out how Rick Harrison is doing today by looking into what happened to him. On March 22, 1965, Rick was born to John Richard Harrison and Joanne Rue Harrison. Chris, Rick, Sherry, and Joseph were his parents' four children. Rick was one of three children. At a young age, Rick experienced the first devastating tragedy when he lost his sister Sher Joanne Harrison. Her name is Sherry, and she was born with Down syndrome. She was their first child. At the tender age of 6, she passed away far too soon. It was already bad enough that Rick had seizures frequently. The fact that he was only 8 years old added insult to injury. He was confined to his bed and read extensively. Because of this, he developed a lifelong passion for reading, particularly historical and scientific texts. The Great Brain, a novel by John D. Fitzgerald about a con artist named Tom D. from Utah, is one of his favorite books. Who is in the 10th grade? Fitzgerald, from whom young Rick drew inspiration. Rick attended Taft Middle School in San Diego, California, but he left in the 10th grade to pursue a weekly income of $2,000 selling counterfeit Gucci handbags. When his parents' real estate company failed, though, everything changed. The family was forced to relocate to Las Vegas, Nevada in April 1981. The pregnancy of Rick's girlfriend Kim added another obstacle for him to overcome. Rick courageously made the decision to become a father at a young age. Another devastating loss occurred when the young couple's first child was lost to a miscarriage. They persisted, though, and were married a year later. The couple began their family with Corey, who would go on to have a significant impact in the family business and achieve great success in his own right. Adam, their second child, was a welcome surprise after a 2-year wait. The fact that Rick and Kim split up not long after Adam was born is another awful thing that occurred. However, Rick's time as a single dad was brief. Just 9 months after his divorce, he started dating Tracy. After dating for 8 months, they tied the knot a year after his divorce. Corey and Adam's care fell on them now that they had a new partner. With a larger family, Rick had to reevaluate his income strategies. His dad opened a 300-square-foot store, and he was there, of space. Located on Las Vegas Boulevard South, sells used gold and silver coins. In order to assist his dad with the new business, Rick had to leave his night job as a vehicle repossession officer. Earlier, we mentioned that Rick had a fondness for history and physics. His family was starting a new business, and he had no clue that the knowledge he gained in those classes would be useful. Rick was able to substantiate every item in the store with historical facts, which contributed to his extensive knowledge of the subject. Following 5 years, the family relocated to a more favorable spot on Fremont Street. However, they were forced to make yet another relocation 2 years later, due to the loss of their lease. In later years, he and his dad considered opening a pawn shop out of the store. Unfortunately, they were unable to expand into a full-fledged pawn shop due to a limitation imposed by a Las Vegas law on the city's ability to issue pawn licenses. Therefore, they intended to seek a loan license once the city's population reached a certain threshold. Obtaining their pawn license was not without its challenges. At 713 Las Vegas Boulevard South, the gold and silver pawn shop was established that same year by the father and son, conveniently located near the Las Vegas Strip. Selling one-of-a-kind sports and historical memorabilia was the main focus of the father and son store in the beginning. Their jewelry, however, eventually became their most popular goods. As their company expanded, word got out in Las Vegas. Rick had spent the better part of his life expanding his pawn shop business, and he had now helped start the show and shop. They were making hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest each year on loans totaling millions of dollars by 2005. The store's one-of-a-kind sports items with fascinating histories made it famous the following year. Additionally, by allowing customers to pawn their belongings, they assisted gamblers in need of gas money to return home. The History Channel took an interest in them when they became famous and larger. Pawn Stars was born out of this. However, their most popular item was the jewelry they offered. With time, their business flourished and gained renown in Las Vegas. Rick had joined the original founders of the show and shop. Throughout his life, he toiled away at expanding and improving the pawn shop. They were making hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest each year by 2005, from loans totaling millions of dollars. The store's one-of-a-kind sports items with fascinating histories made it famous the following year. Additionally, by allowing customers to pawn their belongings, they assisted gamblers in need of gas money to return home. The History Channel took an interest in them when they became famous and larger. Pawn Stars was born out of this. While on vacation in Sin City in 2008, Leftfield Pictures' Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines conceived the concept for Pawn Stars. Their fascination with the variety of seedy pawn shops stemmed from the idea that behind each door might be a unique character. They sought out a small family-owned business that might serve as the backdrop for a television series. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop was located less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. They eventually found it. A public broadcasting service PBS program featured this store in 2001. For a long time, Rick wanted a show about his store. In 2003, he and Dave Attell appeared on an episode of Insomniac. The idea was originally pitched to HBO, but they were not interested. Nevertheless, they consented to alter it into the style that is now enjoyed by families. The original title was Pawning History, but the developers decided that Pawn Stars better described their product. The show's original location was the world-renowned Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Sin City, Nevada, and the name is a playful pun on porn stars. While gold is the most common item pawned on Pawn Stars, customers also bring in a wide variety of antiques and vintage items. The store is typically off-limits to all but an authorized crew while filming is underway. Fame befell the Harrison family as a result of the program. Many viewers enjoyed it and wanted more, which ensured the show's continued success and renewal year after year. The History Channel's Pawn Stars surpassed all other reality shows in terms of viewership by 2011, and it ranked second overall. Licensed to Pawn, Deals, Steals and My Life at the Gold and Silver was Rick's book that same year. It reached the 22nd spot on the bestseller list of the New York Times. Unfortunately, Rick's second marriage to Tracy ended in divorce that year. The following year, he became engaged to Deanna Burdett, who had also gone through a divorce. Both of his marriages had ended in divorce. The show's success and the expansion of Rick's fanbase made him happy. He co-starred with Corey and Chumley in the iCarly episode I Lost My Head in Vegas, in which they all played themselves. A different show, The Middle, featured Rick 4 days later as the proprietor of an antique shop. His marriage to Deanna Burdett in Laguna Beach, California, took place around this period. His stepdaughters from this marriage are Serena, Sienna, and Marissa. In July 2014, the new game show Pawnography premiered on the History Channel. You could find Rick, Corey and Chumley on it, competing against other players to prevent them from winning the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop's inventory in the form of cash and items. Tragically, Rick and his family would endure a series of unfortunate events that began with the passing of the father. His father passed away in June of 2018. In an Instagram post, Rick informed his over 250,000 followers that his father had passed away from Parkinson's disease. The father had passed away, according to a Harrison family representative. Rick Harrison's father, Rich, passed away this morning with his loved ones by his side. He was 77 years old. Using a black suit, matching spectacles and a cap, Rick shared a close-up of his dad. An emotional ode to the man who had assisted him in managing the family business was also written by him. He will be deeply missed by his family, friends, and colleagues at Gold and Silver Pawn. The History Channel released a touching statement regarding the death of Richard the Old Man Harrison, expressing their profound sadness at his passing. Harrison was a cherished member of both the History and Pawn Stars families. His intelligence and integrity will be missed. The Harrison family is in our prayers and thoughts at this difficult time. Rick also spoke highly of his father, saying, "He was my hero, and I was lucky to have such a cool old man as my dad." It's a blessing that Rick was able to tell others about his father and how wonderful a family man he was. In addition, he mentioned he had a full life. Through Pawn Stars, he taught people all over the world how important family, hard work, and humor are. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers. Kindly allow us some space while this is happening. He captioned a second photo of his dad from when he was a kid, writing, "Today I lost a friend, a father, a teacher, and so much more. A long battle with Parkinson's disease came to an end for the old man this morning. I will see you again, Dad, because you are loved." The loss of his father left Rick to fend for himself and his family, while also running the family business, which was a tremendous burden. After marrying a third wife in September 2020, Rick had to cope with the additional stress of getting a divorce. Rick Harrison and Deanna Burdett appeared to have grown apart to the point that they couldn't remain married, according to court documents obtained by TMZ. Rick claimed in the lawsuit that he and his wife could no longer get along because of the dramatic shift in their values, priorities, and perspectives. The fact that the split occurred amid nationwide protests against George Floyd may have contributed to its lack of public notice, according to TMZ. By "I got 3 great daughters out of it," Rick meant Deanna's 3 offspring from her previous marriage, as he told TMZ. According to him, the marriage was doomed from the start, and the couple had already decided to divorce. Not only that, but he declared he had finished with it. He clearly still loves his stepchildren just as much as his own children, judging by the new father-daughter pictures he posted on Instagram. Rick took to Instagram on August 7th to share a photo of himself and his daughter enjoying a Father's Day getaway. Given that he has expressed similar sentiments regarding multiple of his stepdaughters, it bodes well. With the support of his son Corey and best friend Austin Chumley Russell, Rick was able to manage everything. Rick wed Amanda Palmer, his 4th wife, the following year, in the hopes that their marriage would improve. However, Rick's issues persisted beyond that point. His mother Joanne Rue and him had legal issues after 2 years. The ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop and other family assets were at the center of Rick Harrison's mother Joanne Harrison's lawsuit against him, according to USA Today. The lawsuit was filed in the Nevada State Court. Everyone from Rick Harrison and the gold and silver pawn shop to Harrison Properties and Jorich Properties were named in the lawsuit. When family relationships are strained due to financial issues, running the family business can be challenging. The tragic fate that befell the mother and son is this. Rick and Joanne's relationship took a major hit due to their arguments over money. As a result of her nearly 60-year marriage to Rick's father, Rick's mother claimed in her complaint that her son had breached a promise. Nevertheless, upon her awakening from a coma in the early 2000s, Rick insisted that she sign over 51% of the pawn shop to him while she was in the hospital. But she had no idea what she was putting down on paper. Those who had been following the story for a while assumed that Rick was a family man who wouldn't sell them out for money, so this cast a shadow over him. Upon his passing, Rick's mother inherited the pawn shop from her husband, who had a 49% stake. However, she was never given complete access to the company's financial records by her son. She claimed she couldn't prove ownership of the over $500,000 in metal and cash that her late husband had. Rick, she revealed to him, had cut off all financial support from the company her late husband had founded. In 2020, Rick ceased sending her $25,000 monthly. To try to recover that amount, Joanne was also planning to go to court. Supposedly, in an effort to prevent her son from liquidating any family assets, Joanne obtained a temporary protection order against him. That made a lot of people concerned about Rick's fortune. Additionally, the restraining order forbade Rick from taking any action that would cause her to become less invested in the family business, including the relocation or concealment of financial assets. Unspecified damages, an inventory of all assets, and a restraining order prohibiting Rick from spending his mother's money were all requested in the lawsuit. Additionally, a constructive trust required him to relinquish any control he may have had over her property. During a subsequent discussion regarding the matter, Rick stated, "The accusations are false, and I think that my 81-year-old mother is being influenced by others, for their own gain." In response to Rick's claims, Joanne expressed her fear and uncertainty about her ability to pay her monthly medical bills and other expenses. According to the story, Joanne, who was over 80 years old and had numerous health issues requiring constant care, made this request. Each month, this might cost as much as $15,000. To Rick, hearing about the protection order request was the sole way he learned about it. I've tried to get in touch with her many times in the last few months, but haven't been able to, said the man. One of the businesses she is suing actually belongs to my mom. The Pawn Stars star looked confused about his mom's lawsuit. Rick was still facing the worst and most important problem, despite facing many others. In January 2024, Rick's son tragically passed away in a terrible accident. A Clark County, Nevada, press officer stated that Adam's death was caused by an overdose of fentanyl and methamphetamine. The medical examiner's office in Clark County determined that the death was accidental. His disappearance on January 17 heightened concerns voiced by a different neighbor. When his owner noticed he was unresponsive for some time, they contacted the authorities, posting an Instagram photo of himself and Adam at a restaurant 2 days. Rick broke the tragic news that his son had passed away. A part of him will remain in your memory forever, he wrote. I love you, Adam, she wrote alongside a heart-shaped emoji. On January 22, a representative for the family named Laura Herlovich announced that Adam had passed away due to fentanyl overdose. We are very sad about Adam's death. Please give us space while we grieve his death, she put forward. Rick also addressed the issue in a statement, emphasizing the critical need to address the fentanyl problem in a more serious manner. Many people, including Donald Trump Jr., expressed their condolences after Rick's touching Instagram tribute to Adam. Adam Harrison wasn't on Pawn Stars, but rumor has it that he worked at Gold and Silver Pawn before becoming a plumber. His older brother Corey also shared a childhood photo of the siblings and wrote, I'll always love you, Bubba, and just like that, someone said, man, I'm so sorry. Corey had previously mentioned that Adam appeared uninterested in being a part of the show. Rick has a lot of issues and sadness in his life, but he stays upbeat and hides his pain behind work. Even politics piqued his interest. For the 3rd Congressional District in Nevada, he supported Daniel Rodimer, and for president, he backed Donald Trump. Even the idea of seeking the office of governor of Nevada crossed his mind once. Furthermore, Rick hinted that he could run for U.S. The senator said, many people in the party have talked to me about it, and I always think about it. I haven't made up my mind about anything yet, but I'm also not ruling anything out. It came as no surprise that he was promoted to the rank of Kentucky Colonel in an episode of the Pawn Stars spin-off that was partially shot at Locust Grove, given how much people love him for his accomplishments. He was admitted to the Kentucky Colonel's exclusive club in their luxurious parlor. Governors of Kentucky are only authorized to bestow the highest honors, and the Kentucky Colonel is among them. It appears that his romantic life is also improving. His spokesman confirmed to People that he is currently in a relationship with Angie Polaskin, a nurse from Las Vegas. According to Rick, Angie and I met 6 months ago. She works as a nurse in Las Vegas. We have spent the last 2 weeks in Europe celebrating her birthday. Additionally, he recently posted several pictures of them dressed formally for a Parisian evening out, revealing that they were dating. Rick is no longer a regular at the pawn shop. His current gig is as a part-time star on Pawn Stars. The semi-retirement he is experiencing is vastly different from the rumors that he will spend his life behind bars. Rick is enjoying his vacation with his grandkids, despite his legal issues, with his beloved friends and grandchildren by his side. The slower pace of Rick's life allows him to concentrate on the things that truly matter to him, including his loved ones, his ideas, and his personal development, and for that he is grateful. Although he is no longer exclusively involved with running Pawn Stars, he still makes appearances on the show. The daily operations of the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop are not as closely overseen by him. The reins have been passed on to his son Corey and his longtime companion Chumley. Corey has established himself as a formidable entrepreneur, while Chumley, despite his history of legal issues, has matured into a trustworthy member of the team. Rick trusts them both, and frequently reminds them of their commitment to the shop's heritage. Rick has recently expressed in interviews his long-held desire to travel more, particularly to see historical sites around the world. His devotion to the past, which contributed to Pawn Stars' global success, remains unwavering. Along with his new book, which delves into his philosophy, life lessons gained from years of running a pawn shop, and the unexpected twists and turns that life can offer, he is also working on a memoir. As an additional benefit, Rick has helped out some of his neighbors. He has participated in charity sales, historical preservation initiatives, and drug crisis awareness campaigns in memory of his son Adam, who passed away at a young age. Even though he is sad, these things have given him a reason to live, and an opportunity to use his fame for good. The rumors that Rick was behind bars were baseless and intended to hurt feelings, but his true story is one of resilience. Despite facing the world's scrutiny, going to court, and the agony of losing a loved one, he remains grounded. He is still being told his story as a fighter, a father, and a guide, in addition to being the face of Pawn Stars. Still, many look to Rick Harrison as the rock of the gold and silver pawn shop, an inspiration for perseverance, and proof that life can be beautiful, even in the face of adversity.